There you go.
Late.
Because of me.
I wouldn't blame you. Late. From the parking lot of Marineland on the beautiful Palos Verdes Peninsula in Los Angeles, California.
Well, Lon, excuse me.
Oh,
Hello.
hi. What have we here?
AirPod.
What is it?
AirPod. That's want to sell it
How's
AirPod.
Mama did do, my favorite? You like
You mean
it?
like these things?
Yes.
For me?
I sell very cheap, please, for gas.
But you don't need them.
I don't need them.
Sell me some gas, please.
You're being broadcast right now.
Don't put me in the live, please.
Huh?
Don't put me in the live.
Then drive away.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
You tell me, please.
What?
Tell
Let's hope
me
for gas.
$40 for gas.
No.
Look at us. We're too poor to do that.
Where are you from? Where are you from, origin?
Where am I from? Origin?
Yes.
Southern California.
Southern California.
Nice. Have a good day. God bless you.
Okay, thank you. God bless you too.
That's pitiful. He said, that was pitiful.
Yes. Someone tried.
I wanted to give him $5 for gas money, but that wouldn't buy him any gas to go anywhere.
That's right. This whole thing was
Well,
right.
it's what happens everywhere. We're all in trouble.
We're all in
We're
trouble.
grateful for everybody who helps us. And
We're not in Marineland. As a matter of fact, Marineland isn't in Marineland anymore. Anyway, we're
Palos Verdes.
in Palos Verdes is half gone too. Anyway, here we are in the second parking lot on Parking Lot Tuesday, and we have something to say.
Oh,
We're the young generation.
I'm distracted by the people in need.
I know.
And usually, if it's we do have a few people who, we have a person who is a homeless person who's gotten.
There, you're on.
I know I think he's gotten a home now to live in because we haven't seen him in a while. Outside the co-op, his name was Raymond, and he was wonderful. Well, we're here to try to cheer you up, but I'm not that person. I'm concerned now. I'm concerned they need help. And anyway, everybody, we all need help. I am going to talk about cause and effect and memory because I'm trying to clean up my thinking, which I have to every 15 minutes start over every day because I don't succeed at it very well, but I'm not going to give up. So I am determined to clean up my thinking and see things differently. So this concerns cause and effect, which according to I read some Tibetan stuff and I'm reading some other stuff. We humans seem to have gotten backwards. We mistake cause for effect and effect for cause, and I think it has to do with memory because we think memory. Well, I'm trying to give up, I would say, thoughts of, for one, Course in Miracle calls them attack thoughts, but it's a brilliant way to put it.
Attack thoughts?
Attack thoughts, because you start blaming a situation or somebody else for something that has happened to you. I mean, even if it's weather or, anything that happens to you, you start blaming somebody for it. Or some situation for it that happened in the past about it. Even if the past was 10 minutes previous, you start. But the thing about cause and effect is, and memory isn't. Its real purpose isn't to remember the past, because all that does is give you an excuse, kind of, for. Having attack thoughts because something has hurt you in the past or you screwed up yourself in the past. And memory is purpose is to remember now who you are and what you are right now. That's its purpose. And that way, your thoughts are creating, you're creating something that's more real, more truthful, and connected to what you really want to happen. So if we're all remembering stuff in the past is gone. So how could it possibly be causing? I mean, it's completely gone. And we think, well, it's only in my memory that I have it then. Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Change your memory. Make your memory now instead of something in the past. And not that dementia is good. It's just take the blame part out of your memory. You can remember the stuff that happened, but don't add any blame to it, or as if it was like, is it because I've done something in the past or somebody did something is happening now to me, maybe even physically, or or obviously physically, but I mean your body or any of yours. You can't blame the past. It's not even logical to think that something in the past is a cause of something that's happening now, because that's gone. So how can an effect with no cause? It's an effect with no cause, you're saying, really, because the effect is gone in the past. The cause, your memory has put that. I'm not good at explaining this.
No,
your memory has put.
For a moment, that made sense to me.
Your memory is being misused by you to blame things in the past for things that are happening now, when the past is obviously gone and can have no effect on this, except your misuse of memory is doing that. So just learn how to reuse. We have to learn how to reuse our memories to make them only now, and then they will create the truth instead of some fake thing that is gone already, giving you cause of something. So it's more, and it's kind of like the basis of true optimism and your natural powers being activated, instead of wasting your time on things that are truly over already and non-existent.
Now, didn't Crowley somewhere write about going back in your memory, maybe something that you fucked up or something that was unpleasant, and to replay the history where it all worked out okay?
Well, that's kind of the same, basically the same kind of thought. But I'm not saying that even. I'm saying remember it as it is, as it happened. But just don't attach the blame.
Yeah.
To it, because
it's gone.
It's gone, yeah. And trying to replay it so it comes out good. I mean, nobody knows the end of all your acts, so you're making up something that's, you know what I mean? It's a kind of it's a nice fantasy game to play, but kind of a waste of your time as far as I'm concerned. Just take the blame out. Just
okay.
Of the past, and you can remember it other than that. But yeah. Anyway, I totally am not doing good at this. I have a class hangover. We had a nice class.
We had a class. So anyway, you're shopping for my trip too, aren't you?
Lon wants treats for his trip.
I mean, it'll be like a 6-hour car drive. I don't know how I'm going to survive with that.
There were no bulk prunes at the co-op today.
Oh my God! I hope you find some prunes here. Anyway. Okay.
I'm happy to stop talking.
All right. Well, we've had quite a parking lot experience here this morning so far.
I know. I totally am distracted.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about those people. So. But
Well, anyway, I'm going to turn the camera back around if I can without turning it off. There we go. And I'm going to, don't have my stand here
Why is that?
today. Well, I remembered absolutely everything else.
Oh, what was that? Your hat?
My hat.
My glasses?
I've got some underpants on.
Honey, underpants is, what little girls wear. Boys wear underwear.
Constance makes fun of me because I call my underpants underpants.
They're underwear if you're a little boy. Little girls wear underpants.
Well,
But that's because he wears
well, have you seen my underpants?
Let's hope not. Okay. Now is not the time either. I'm leaving, boy. This is getting worse by the minute.
Okay, see what happens when we're over an hour late. Okay, we run into, okay. Yes,
Farewell.
farewell. Fare thee
Good
well.
riddance. I'm trying not to attack.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a cold day today, so I just really bundled up, but it's turned into an absolutely gorgeous day. And when the sun's shining in the car, it makes it even warmer. Anyway, 2 years ago in August was the last NOTACon, the National OTO convention, the U.S. And I love NOTACons, and I've been to all of them. They happen every 2 years in different parts of the country. And they're always, the OTO is always very, very sympathetic and tolerant to me and ask me to present. And usually they do it at lunchtime where nothing else is going on. So I sort of have a captive, drooling audience, and my presentations are usually in the big hall where we all have lunch. And so it takes about 2 years to put together a book that is all of the proceedings and the presentations, like in essay form, is turned into a book that's published every 2 years. And but it takes about 2 years to get a book off the ground. So they're almost ready to come out with the book representing the presentations of 2 years ago. And so I've been busy trying to throw my presentation script into a proper essay and form. And as I was reading over it yesterday, I know I've shared pieces of it with you before, probably around 2 years ago, and but it seems so apropos today because a lot has taken place in the last 2 years. 2 years ago, we were sort of fresh off of the pandemic, and we more or less saw the storm clouds of international affairs and national affairs. We saw the storm clouds gathering, and now they've, in many respects, they've hit. And I thought I would share this with you again, because in my mind, at least, it has everything to do with our duties, if we consider ourselves new aeon people and new aeon thought. It goes even beyond whether we consider ourselves Thelemites or not. Just well, here, let it speak for itself. It's not all that long, and It might make today's parking lot presentation a little more valuable to you. The pandemic was only one factor in an equation that is characterizing the catastrophic, apocalyptic times that we live in. Global heating, fires and floods and hurricanes and drought and mass extinctions come to mind. But political instability and dictatorships also, we can throw those in. And as nightmarishly bad as these things are on the surface of the earth, all these things have brought to light and exacerbated even the most primal and even more primal and disturbing phenomenon taking place inside the minds and the psyches of our fellow human beings. I'm talking about a universal polarization of perception. I'll say that again for emphasis. A universal polarization of perception taking place within the consciousness of humanity as a whole. The dissolution and abrogation of a mutually accepted objective reality. We can blame the influence of TV propaganda or social media, but at this point in history, when nobody can agree on what is true and what is not, finger pointing is not going to fix anything. And I'm the biggest finger pointing criminal. Okay. Indeed, if we are to blame anything or anyone on this mad war and vengeance, all this danger and trouble, I'd have to say, blame it on Horus. Now, I'm sure you're going to want me to clarify that statement, so I'll try. Dramatic universal shifts in consciousness shouldn't be a wild and foreign concept to Thelemites, for whom the sometimes disturbing effects of the aeon change, instead of climate change or political change, aeon change, okay, appear to characterize the Book of the Law's third chapter, the prophetic element of our mysteries. I'm sure a lot of us have been thinking that over the last couple of years, and let's face it, in the last couple of years, all of us have been traumatized in one way or another. First by the pandemic, then by the madness of social and political polarization, and even more terrifying, the climate crisis, and the very real possibility of a miserable end of life as we know it on our planet. And for many of us, within our lifetime. Reaction and non-reaction to all of this is made a victim of reality itself and is lulling too many of us into the don't look up coma of denial and distraction. I hope you've seen the movie Don't Look Up. Okay. If you haven't, Google around and watch it. But I digress. In addition to the deaths of those around us, many of us have lost friends and loved ones to the madness of nightmarish alternative realities. And that is what I want to talk about, because I believe things are going to get much worse before they get better. And it will continue to affect our magical lives and the lives of our order during what I believe will be a difficult and challenging future, a future that is upon us right now. The theme of this Noticon, that was 2 years ago, is taken from verse 32 of Horace's own 3rd chapter of the Book of the Law. And the theme for that theocon, or that Noticon, was from gold forged steel. Now, I'm sure the organizers this year had very good reasons for choosing this particular verse, so I won't need to comment other than to say that this verse, indeed the first or the 3 verses that come before it, and here they are. There cometh a rich man from the west, who shall pour his gold upon thee. From gold forged steel, be ready to fly or to smite. Now we can project all sorts of things on current events and things like that. But you got to remember that this was in 1904, and part of, maybe even a great part of the text of the dictated Book of the Law was aimed at Crowley personally, as well as being prophetic for the world. A lot of the messages from the Book of the Law are aimed at Crowley and his personal circumstances in 1904. So I think that line in particular might be one of those specific personal messages or advice to Crowley concerning his circumstances in 1904. And I think they speak to the challenging personal difficulties that lay ahead of him personally in the years to follow. But I don't wish to be a center of pestilence, so I want to read on because I believe the message here might help us better understand the role we are to play in the aeon of the crowned and conquering child. Here's the quote. But your holy place shall be untouched throughout the centuries, though with fire and sword it be burnt down and shattered. Yet an invisible house there standeth, and shall stand until the fall of the great equinox, when Hrumakis shall arise, and the double-wanded one assume my throne and place. Another prophet shall arise, and bring fresh fever from the skies. Another woman shall awake the lust and worship of the snake. Another soul of God and beast shall mingle in the globed priest. Another sacrifice shall stain the tomb. Another king shall reign, and blessing no longer be poured to the hawk-headed and mystical Lord. Now, I'm sure many of us are very excited and inspired by the heroic restoration project currently taking place with Boleskine House in Scotland, and can understandably point to the prophetic implications of the first part of this verse and what it might suggest. Crowley certainly does in his comments on the verse. It's the next part of the verse I want to focus on just for a moment. The part that talks about, quote, the fall of the great equinox, when Hrumakis shall arise and the double-wanded one assume my throne and place. Another prophet shall arise and bring fresh fever from the skies. Another woman shall awake the lust and worship of the snake. Another soul of God and beast shall mingle in the globed priest. Another sacrifice shall stain the tomb. Another king shall reign, and blessing no longer be poured to the hawk-headed mystical Lord. That part. It is with pure alchemical panache that new aeons hatch from eggs which are incubated in the compost pile heat generated by the decomposition of the putrefying shells of the magical forms and formulae of the immediately previous aeon. The Aeon of Osiris was incubated by the warmth of the decaying compost pile of Isis. The Aeon of Horus was incubated by the warmth and the corrupted, decaying formulae of Osiris. And the next Aeon, which Crowley just told us will be that of Humachis, will inevitably be incubated by the warmth of the compost pile cauldron of the corrupted and decaying elements of the Aeon of Horus. And when will the egg of the next Aeon hatch? Crowley tells us it may be 100 or 10,000 years from now. For the computation of time is not here as there. That's his quote. I believe he wrote that about 150 years ago. Crowley also wrote in his comment on this verse, quote, "It may be presumptuous to predict any details concerning the next Aeon after this," unquote. I am certainly not going to presume to do that either. But I need to apply things to myself personally. So I need to ask myself this. Where does the degree of my acceptance of the law of Thelema place me in this transitional phase of Aeon change? What is my Aeon of Horus duty? What is my Aeon of Horus job? What role am I to play? Where am I in this revolution? Am I at the very beginning of my own personal fall of the Aeon of Osiris? Am I right in the middle of the violent and brutal tearing down phase of the revolution? Is my role at this stage that of an enraged shock trooper who must root from my heart the invasive weeds of old bullshit programming of the old Aeon? Am I still at the Lord of the Flies stage of my thelemic awakening, where my job is to violently lash out with unrestrained rage against the last vestiges of the zombie army of decaying Osirian formula? Because if I am a Thelemite at that stage, I can certainly find plenty of justification in the 3rd chapter of the Book of the Law. If, on the other hand, I now realize that my HGA-activated heart, that I have worked through that phase of the revolution. If I now realize with my HGA-activated heart that the crowned and conquering child is now duly and truly, solidly seated on the throne in the East, then perhaps it is now time to accept my promotion from being a shock trooper disciple of the Aeon of Horus to the rank of adept of the Aeon of Horus. The disciples of an Aeon reactively struggle to cast out the corrupted vestiges of the previous Aeon and manifest within themselves the magical dynamics and formula of the new Aeon. But once having done so, the adepts of the Aeon are well armed to proactively prepare the way for the dawning of the age to follow. Humachis. And who is Humachis? Crowley tells us Humachis is the dawning sun. He therefore symbolizes any new course of events, unquote. The double-wanded one is Thamast, in dual form as Thamis and Thamat. from whom the Greeks derive their Themis, goddess of justice. Themast is the hegemon, who bears the mitre-headed scepter, like that of Joshua in the Royal Arch degree of Freemasonry. He is the third officer in rank in the Golden Dawn ritual, neophyte ritual of the Golden Dawn, following Horus as Horus follows Osiris. He can then assume the throne and place of the ruler of the temple when the equinox of Horus comes to an end. Crowley continues, following him, or Horus, will arise the equinox of Ma, the goddess of justice. It may be 100 or 10,000 years from now, for the computation of time is not here as there. This is still quoting Crowley. Strength will prepare the reign of justice. We should begin already, as I deem, to regard this justice as the ideal, whose way we should now make ready by virtue of our force and fire. I'm going to repeat that. Quote, we should be ready already, as I deem, to regard this justice as the ideal whose way we should make ready by virtue of our force and fire. I'm going to take my little camera out of the sun here. And, okay. By we, I believe Crowley meant the adepts of the Aeon of Horus, whose duty is to regard justice as the ideal and to make ready by our force and fire. As a Thelemite, I must now ask myself, am I at the stage of my spiritual awakening where it is still necessary for me to use my disciple of Horus force and fire to break free from binding chains of the old Osirian formula? Or is Horus now firmly enthroned in me? Am I now ready to accept the adept of Horus' duty to regard justice as the ideal, to make the coming age ready by my force and fire? Now, Thelemites come in all shapes and sizes, and each of us with our own karmic assets and liabilities. Each of us with our own lessons to learn and lessons to teach. Each of us functioning in accordance with our own private level of understanding. No two Thelemites think alike, nor should we be expected to. Both disciple of Aeon of Horus and adept of the Aeon of Horus are Thelemites, each possessing their own self-seized rights and privileges. If we disagree on things concerning the world around us, that's really to be expected. During my talk at the last Noticon, and that would now be 4 years ago, I mentioned that what I believe to be a disturbing trend among some racist extremists to identify their movement with Thelema. Some of my own Thelemite siblings teased me and called me SJW DuQuette. Now, I'm such an old fart, I didn't know what SJW was. I had to Google it. Social Justice Warrior. Social Justice Warrior? Fuck yes. I'm a social justice warrior. Love is the law. Love under will. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, Be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.